What if Deku joined Team JPDE? Chapter 36. Apology and Tatas. Thursday. Day 109. Glad you managed to finish the grenade dust assignment in time, students. I can't play favorites, so I would have had to give you a lower grade for lateness, Peach said. That's so not fair, Evelyn said. Nishishishi, so glad I don't have homework, Titania said. Says who, young lady, Peach asked. What, Titania said. No daughter of mine is going to grow up empty-headed. We're starting your cuticulum next week, Peach said. Gods damn it, Titania said. That's what happens when you have a scientist as a mother, Deku said. Anyway, let's start. Professor Peach, have you completed the translation of the diary, Jack asked. Indeed I have, Miss Ivory. This is the full transcript. Considering the state of Beacon's network, I thought it'd be more prudent to make a physical copy instead of a digital one. I've highlighted some choice entries that I will now recount for you. As a preamble, after reading this, there's no doubt in my mind that intentional foul play was involved in the disappearance of the people of Peak, Peach said. Those poor people, Penny said. Why do you think so? Professor David asked. I think you'll understand once I start reading, Peach said. Professor Peach then started to read the journal. 13th of March. A most curious case was brought in this morning. One of the miners fell into what I can only describe as a heavy coma, despite not sporting any injuries and all his vitals being in the norm. Only anomaly was a slightly above average presence of metals in the bloodstream. 14th of March. The miner woke up while I was out on house call and, according to the nurse, just left without saying a word to anyone. I've contacted his family and asked them to bring him back for a follow-up checkup. 15th of March. There will be no follow-up checkup, as the miner has gone missing into the mines, Peach said. The mines, Jack said. Yes. The miners of Peak. I think they accidentally released him, David said. How did they not notice a giant flaming monster, if we go by your description, Titania asked. Because they didn't release him fully. They only managed to break the seal of his prison, so whilst he still may be trapped in Peak, he became able to influence his surroundings. When he spoke to David, he implied to be older than Remnant itself, so, with all that time, he was confined to the mines, Peak, Deku said. Until the people of Peak dug too deep, Evelyn said. 24th of March. Again, more and more people are falling into a coma, waking up after exactly 24 hours only to make a beeline for the mines. They are all disappearing into the depths, Peach said. Why haven't they tried barring the entrance or keeping the people locked up, Penny asked. According to the diary, doing so has served to make the people affected harm themselves while breaking through them, Peach said. Gods. But if it was only the miners at first, how did the effects spread to the rest of the city, Jack asked. The good doctor manages to find out in the last entry of this diary. 2nd of April. Bits in the water. It's not just any metal, it's pyroobsidian. And it's the water we've been drinking. The miners went first because it's even in the air, down there. It's been claiming everyone, one by one. There are only so many people left who haven't fallen asleep. Why isn't anyone sending help? Why aren't our messages going through, Peach said. It wasn't overnight, David said. But then. Wait a minute, this foul play you were referring to, Jack asked. Human foul play. Someone actually helped make this happen, Evelyn asked. But why, Penny said. I can only hope the serum I've devised will work. It's supposed to break down pyroobsidian at all levels into its more basic components. I only need one more ingredient. May the gods allow me to find it before I too fall in a sleep I may never wake from again. That was the last entry. I don't think the good doctor succeeded, Peach said. Unfortunately, Jack said. And it presents another problem. What if the same thing happens to us, Evelyn asked. Damn it, that's true. Good thing we've been drinking our own water, Titania said. But our objective is the mine and... Well, I have no doubt that this thing is much stronger now that he was 10 years ago. We've barely managed to get through the field running through the pyro-obsidian structure. I don't trust our chances with the invisible kind, David said. Well, we fortunately have a remedy ready for creation and usage, Peach said. The doctor left the recipe in the diary, Deku asked. No, but considering what was going on in Peak at the time, I can't believe he'd put it somewhere hard to find. I believe we just need to search his clinic further, Peach said. Sounds like a plan. We have time before we get to the mines, anyway, Jack said. Yes. The next area we have to cover on the way there is the markets. And after our encounter with the guardian of the city, she's sure to be prepared for our arrival, Penny said. Hopefully this time she'll show up instead of sending a metal monster after us. If we can get a hold of her, I can use my semblance to get some intel, Evelyn said. Actually, speaking of intel, I think there's someone who can help us with that, David said. You do, Mr. Dik Begis. And who might that be, Peach asked. Me, Amber said. Amber the appeared before them. Whoa. What the hell, Titania asked. Hello again, Amber. Feeling more comfortable to stick around this time, Deku asked. Very much so, Izuku. Well met, everyone. As David prefaced. I have intel on your newest adversary, for I've fought her while you dealt with her creation, Amber said. Ha, David said. Children, who is this person? And where did she come from, Peach asked. Long story. But let's just say she's always around, Jack said. You've fought her, Penny asked. Yes. Her power concerned the manipulation of pyro-obsidian, but she can only use it for one purpose at a time. Having her focus on me prevented the regeneration of the monster you were fighting, or the summoning of further help, Amber said. Sounds like we owe you one, Evelyn said. Anything else you can share, Deku asked. So I guess we're just going to ignore the fact that she appeared in a burst of flames. Sure, why not, Titania said. As you may have surmised yourself, she seems to be a guardian and caretaker of the city. Her powers are magical in nature and she's quite temperamental when dealing with something she didn't plan for. Understandable, given her young age, Amber said. Her young. So it's not just that her voice sounded young, Penny said. No, she is young. Or at least, she doesn't look older than 11, Amber said. 11, Jack asked. Oh, come on. What's next, a 7-year-old with the power to erase you from existence? I'm not fighting that, Titania said. You would be surprised what powers people can have, Deku said. Anyway. I can only hypothesize that she's going to prepare a larger number of monsters for the next time you come to Peak. I doubt she's going to face you herself, knowing about my presence, Amber said. I see. Thanks for the information, Amber. And glad to have you watching our backs, Jack said. It was my pleasure. Now, if you'll excuse me. Keeping myself visible consumes my magic, Amber said. Amber then faded away. Children, did she mention magic? Your friend is an actual authentic, genuine magic user, Peach asked. Apparently, Evelyn said. Actually, to be more precise. Amber told me she's a maiden, David said. Professor Peach's face furrowed. A maiden, Peach asked. Professor Peach. What's wrong, Deku asked. The term is not unfamiliar to me, Peach said. Well, it is an ancient fairy tale, Penny said. I'm aware, Miss Polendina, but that's not where I know it from, Peach said. Wait, for real? Maybe you could help her, then David asked. Help her? Is your friend in trouble, Mr. Dik Begis, Peach said. I think so. She's not invisible and intangible by choice, David said. Did someone hurt her, Penny asked. Yes. And we have a good idea as of who, Jack said. Long story short, she's like the maidens from the story but no one of them. The powers choose another owner when the previous owner dies, David said. And someone tried to steal those powers from her, Deku said. I see. I will have to get back to you on this, students. There's a hornet nest I need to stir. In the meanwhile, do not tell about Amber to anyone else, not even to Moscow Twitch. Understood? Peach asked, sternly. I won't, David said. Sure, Evelyn said. Affirmative, Penny said. Roger, Jack said. I don't even know what's going on right now, Titania said. Professor Peach. What do you know? Deku asked. Make sure to prepare yourselves properly, students. I feel like we're in for the fight of our lives, this Sunday, Peach said, completely ignoring Deku's question. Peach then left the classroom. She suddenly got intense, Evelyn said. Did Miss Peach realize something about Amber? Penny asked. I don't think so. It's more like, she thinks she may know something. Or knows someone who knows, Jack said. Whatever it is. I feel like she's trying to keep us from putting ourselves in further danger. Considering how she ignored my question, Deku said. Deku and Penny had gone to talk with Ruby in the mess hall. Ruby. Good morning, Penny said. Oh, hi guys. What's up? Ruby asked. Nothing much. Although Deku said. It seems like Weiss developed an interest in my body. That could be taken as something else entirely, couldn't it? Penny asked. It definitely could, Deku said. It's alright, I understand what you meant. And boy did she ever, Ruby said. In what way, exactly? Did she? You asked. No, she doesn't have a clue. It's more like, Ruby said. The day Penny had gotten her upgrade, Weiss was in her team's bathroom looking in the mirror. This is so not fair. Completely unfair. I've been waiting years and she just. And she wasn't that short to begin with. There must be some kind of trick. I refuse to accept that genes can be so different, Weiss said. Weiss, Ruby said. Ruby. Weiss jumped. What are you doing? Ruby asked. Nothing, Weiss yelled. Why are you touching your? Ruby asked. Get the hell out, already, Weiss shouted. But I need to use the bathroom, Ruby said. Back to the present. She's totes jealous, Ruby said. You weren't wrong, Penny, Deku said. Further prying would have revealed something about her. Something that she wasn't prepared to face or accept, Penny said. Weiss. I mean, it's not a subject that comes up often, but she's kind of self-conscious about her height and, assets. I mean, I can understand. I'm 2 years younger than her, but I'm already taller, Ruby said. Without heels, true, Penny said. Then Penny all of a sudden goes and grows up. Might as well have evolved into a new life form, no wonder she suspected foul play, Deku said. I think it's less she suspects and more like she wants it to be foul play. Like, why not me? Ruby said. I see, Deku said. Well, I'm glad we've uncovered the truth. The next course of action is now clear, Penny said. It is, Ruby asked. What do you have in mind? Penny, Deku asked. It will need some preparation. You just make sure to bring Weiss to my father's airship tomorrow. Thanks, Ruby. Don't worry, just leave Weiss to me, Penny said. Penny then left Deku and Ruby. I'm worried, Ruby said. Same. I mean, I doubt it can be that bad, but Deku said. Penny can be a little eccentric. Although, she's improved leaps and bounds since she started hanging out with you guys. The Penny I first met would have never realized the double meaning of that sentence, Ruby said. Yeah. I'm happy to have been a part of her development. Sometimes it's like watch my own child grow up, Deku said. you're a super duper adorable couple. I'm so babysitting the cyborg babies, Ruby said. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but... Okay, Deku said. Over the past few days Deku had been receiving messages from Neo, which he had been ignoring. Bet you were impressed by my dance moves. Ben practicing Neo's first text read. Hey. What's with the radio silence, buddy? I've still got those stilettos, Neo's second text read. Don't you dare ignore me, mister. You think I won't hunt you down? Answer me right now, Neo's third text read. What did I ever do to you? You are fucking asshole, Neo's last text read. After reading that final text, Deku began to wonder if Neo didn't know why he was ignoring her. Meanwhile in Vale. Vale. So pretty, so full of life. So naive. Like a girl coming of age and wearing her first dress. You were just begging for someone to come and steal your virtue. And who could be more apt to the task than a fine rouge such as myself? It feels like just yesterday when I first laid eyes on your unmentionable area. And from there, I rose, ever so upwards, to the very top growing, bountiful mounds. Despite your growth luring bigger and more powerful suitor, Roman Torchwick finds solace in knowing he was your first. Your never forgotten dapper king of crime. Yes. Whenever I return to Vale, it should be with purpose in mind, and triumph in my soul. It should not be to babysit my god's forsaken second-in-command, Roman said. Neo was pouting. When people beg me for their lives, it's usually not because they are asking me to save them from some flooz's target practice, Roman said. Neo now had a bored expression on her face. Them having plenty of spears doesn't change the fact that they're not your property. These are not business partners we can afford to cross, Neo, Roman said. Neo pouted again, before returning to a bored expression. You think I'm happy about taking orders? Last time I did, I was in grade school. Miss Apple had a mean right hook. But we can't afford to cross these people. Not now, not when we're so deep inside their machine. So be a brave little cog and open up to me. What the hell has been eating you, these last few days, Roman asked. Neo then took out her scroll. And stop playing with your scroll when I'm talking to. Wait, is this about that poor guy you latched on, Roman asked. Neo was shocked, but then got angry. Yeah, sure it isn't. Did he finally stop answering your messages, Roman asked. Neo's anger subsided. Figured. And you just can't understand why, can you? Hate to break this to you, Neo. But the only reason all those kids stuck around as long as they did before they all moved as far away from you as they could was because of me, Roman said. Neo was shocked, but then she got very angry. What, you thought you were keeping them around with your striking personality? We're criminals, Neo. And you don't seem to have an off switch for that undoubtedly useful FICO side. You would have had one lonely childhood, hadn't it been for me, doll. And you're way too old for me, yo, buy or scare you up some friends, so grow up and enter the world of adults, Roman said. Neo then began to shake with anger, but then she calmed down. You can actually calm down enough to ask for advice. The guy must be fun, or incredibly patient. Well, then. You want tips to get new friends or to keep this one, Roman asked. Neo smiled. The hard road, HM. Well, an apology is a good place to start from. I'd suggest groveling, but I doubt he'd take it seriously. So, a heartfelt present will have to suffice. And it must be something important, something you wouldn't just give to anyone, Roman said. Got an idea, huh? May I suggest not using that face when presenting the gift? The guy would piss himself standing, Roman said. Neo gave a small cute-looking smile. On second thought, I think he'd be better off scared that puking his guts out. Stick to the crazy face, you can't do cute, Roman said. Neo then began to shake with rage before kicking Roman. Deku was currently in his room, when he got a call from Neo. Deku was frustrated at first but then remembered that Neo was mute. Or was she? Hello, Deku said, answering the call. Good afternoon. Is this Mr. Izuku? The voice asked. The voice appeared to belong to an old woman. Yes. Who is this? Deku asked. Oh, no one, dearie. It's just your cute friend asked me to call you and talk to you in her stead. She can't speak, the poor thing, the old woman said. Deku then began to panic. Neo had taken a hostage. Are you alright? Are you hurt? Deku asked. Oh, I'm quite fine, dearie. Thank you for asking. Anyway, she's writing. Yes, she says she wants to meet you. In Vale, today. Alone. Yes, alone. My, dearie, you need to work on your calligraphy, the old woman said. I'll come. But tell her she needs to let you go, Deku said. Oh, she can hear you quite properly, young man. And my, letting go. These old bones so welcomed a guiding hand back home from the market, the old woman said. I'll be in Vale at 7 p.m. I'm not meeting her later than that, Deku said. She agrees, young man, the old woman said. I see. Have a nice evening, and may I suggest locking yourself inside until tomorrow. Have a nice evening. Again, Deku said. Deku then hung up. Jack, if I'm not back by tonight, tell the others I love all of them, Deku said. What Jack said. Deku then left for Vale. After arriving in Vale, Deku was able to calm down. If Neo wanted him dead, then he wouldn't be needing to meet her. So, she actually wants to talk. Neo then met with Deku. Hey, Neo, Deku said. Neo doesn't look pleased. But she doesn't look angry either. Neo then reached into her pocket and pulled something out. A letter, Deku questioned. Neo then got angry. Okay. I'm taking it, Deku said. Deku looked at the letter, though it was quite hard to read due to Neo's horrible calligraphy, but he could just make it out. I hate writing, but how else am I supposed to explain this properly? I'm sorry, okay. You're literally the first person I tried to hang out with who isn't more scared of. Oh, whatever. Thing is, I didn't know, okay. Anyway, I like hanging out with you, and I even got you a present. Cool, right? Cool, the letter read. There's more, but it's scratched out or unreadable. Deku could see that she was at least making an effort to apologize to him. Apology accepted, Neo, Deku said. Neo was surprised at how fast Deku accepted her apology, but then Neo gave an unpleasant expression. The present, right, Deku said. Neo smiled. She looks almost cute with that smile. Neo then present her present to Deku. It was a piece of card with one free kill written on it with drawing of hearts and a cute drawing of her. Neo. What exactly are you giving me, here, Deku asked. No answer. She just keeps holding it up for him to take. Like a little kid with her first drawing. It looked like a coupon Deku could use. Well, to get a free kill from Neo. Normally Deku would have never even entertained the thought of taking it. But with the life he now leads, he thought it best to take it just in case. And to keep Neo happy. Thanks, Neo, Deku said. Deku then took the coupon. Well, so. Want to go have a bite, Deku asked. Neo gave Deku a crazed smile. There are less exaggerated ways to say do I, you know, Deku said. Deku then realized he was actually beginning to understand Neo. Friday. Day 110. Deku was currently in front of Team RWB Weiss, thinking about how exactly he was going to invite Weiss up to the lab ship, as Penny requested. He decided to just knock on the door. Deku. Good afternoon, I wasn't expecting you, Weiss said. I know. Sorry, am I bothering you? Deku asked. May I mimic a certain person and say that you're never a bother? I was mostly just alone with my thoughts, anyway, Weiss said. Speaking of which, Penny would like to talk to you about those, Deku said. Deku thought it best to just be honest. Don't look at me like that. It was pretty noticeable. You approached her with Ruby, remember? Right before the discussion about flat, Deku said. Do not finish that sentence, Weiss angrily said. Got it. Still, she wants to talk to you, Deku said. I guess that's fair. Is she in your room? Weiss asked. Actually, no. She wants you to reach her on her father's lab airship, Deku said. The lab air? But why? Weiss asked. Your guess as good as mine, Deku said. I'm not going alone, Weiss said. I wasn't gonna ask you to, Deku said. Deku and Weiss then headed to the lab ship. Here we are. The final boss, Weiss said. Penny isn't scary enough to be a final boss. At the most she'd be mid-game material, Deku said. If you say so. Let's open it up, Weiss said. Weiss then walked to the door. Deku. I was wondering, Weiss said. What is it, Weiss? Deku asked. Do you find me attractive? Weiss asked. Is this a trick question? Deku asked. Just answer, Weiss said. Weiss, remember that thing about how you told me you liked me, and I didn't object? I think that'd be plenty of indication, Deku said. Well. Maybe you like me for other things other than my body. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just. I'd like if you liked me for my looks too. At least a little, Weiss asked. You're comparing yourself to your teammates, aren't you? Deku asked. Weiss said. Yes, I'm going to tell you something that your mind might not be able to comprehend, Deku said. And what's that? Weiss asked. I become Penny's boyfriend before she had her growth spurt and would still love her for her looks if she remained flat, Deku said. Well then, looks like I'm in first place then, Weiss said. Deku and Weiss then entered the laboratory. Weiss. I'm so glad you decided to accept my invitation, Penny said. I've kind of owed it to you after trying to stick my nose in your affairs. Penny, let me start by saying I want to apologize, Weiss said. What for? Penny asked. For. Immediately jumping to conclusions. We may not know each other very well, if at all, but you're a friend of Ruby and... Well, Deku loves you and he's a good judge of character, Weiss said. Weiss, it's alright. My sudden growth may have been a shock to see, I comprehend, Penny said. Still wasn't right of me to assume such drastic choices, Weiss said. Well, if it makes you feel any better, my body modifications are indeed the results of corrective surgery, Penny said. They are? Weiss asked. Yes, but not in the way you think of, Penny said. I don't understand, Weiss said. You see, I was born with a condition that, while not life-threatening, stunts my growth and other functions of my body, Penny said. Oh, Weiss said. Deku now understood what Penny was doing. I've been getting periodical surgeries to basically get even with the passage of time. So, don't worry, Weiss. I understand what you're feeling all too well and I don't fault you for your envy, Penny said. It wasn't really envy. Okay, maybe a little, Weiss said. As I said, I understand, Weiss. I just hope your curiosity is satiated and that there are no lingering feelings of weirdness between us, Penny said. Eventually. I think so, yes. Gosh, and here I thought I had it bad with the lack of growth, Weiss said. Just eventually, Penny asked. Give Weiss a break, Penny. Remember. We're all weirdos on our team, Deku said. Yes. Well, enough about that. I think we've spoken at length. Now, what cup size would you like? Penny asked. Deku couldn't help but start laughing after what he just heard. What did you just say? Weiss asked. This is the machine Papa used for my chest upgrade. It's primed and ready and calibrated for use on humans, Penny said. What else would you use it on? I mean, that's not the point. I don't. I'm not going to use this machine, Weiss said. But why? Penny asked. What do you mean why? Weiss yelled. Penny, Weiss doesn't need a boob upgrade, Deku said. But she said she considers her growth lacking, Penny said. That doesn't mean I'm willing to fill my chest with bogus Tatas, Weiss yelled. But they're made of 100% natural material. You can't even tell the difference, Penny said. That's not, Weiss yelled. I swear, Penny said. Penny then grabbed Weiss's head and pulled her into her chest. Penny. What? Weiss said, before her voice was muffled by her chest. See. The feeling is those of a natural set, right? Penny asked. How would I know? I don't have stuff to compare, Weiss said. But Miss Winters are positively generous, right? Penny asked. Why are you reminding me of that? Weiss yelled. Surely you must have touched them, growing up, Penny said. I who? Weiss said. The feeling is familiar, isn't it? Penny asked. That's not the point. I have my pride, damn it, Weiss said. Your pride? Penny asked. I'm a Schnee, damn it. Even if I remain a surfboard for the rest of my life, I will own it and continue walking. Flat and proud of it, Weiss yelled. Deku didn't even know what to do. Weiss cried. Oh, my, Weiss. There's no reason to. There, Penny said. Stop hugging me to your chest, for the love of Smurf, Weiss yelled. Deku decided to wait for this to peather out on its own. Though the mental images would never go away. After Penny was done shoving Weiss's face in her chest, Deku took her to the bullhead that would take her back to Beacon before returning to the lab. So. Weiss sends her regards and begs you to never, ever try something like that again, Deku said. Was she angry? Penny asked. Not really, more like. She was mentally kicking herself for not expecting something like this out of you. You did leave a very eccentric first impression on her, it seems, Deku said. I'm sorry, Izuku. I wanted to help but I just made things worse, didn't I? Penny asked. Well, you made sure to squash any rumors by offering Weiss an alternative explanation to your changes, so that was a success. You may have slightly damaged her self-esteem there, though, Deku said. I just wanted to help, Penny said. I know. And I know that she knows, which is why she wasn't really angry. I understand that in your mind that was probably the logical thing to do, but each person is different, Deku said. Meaning? Other than the literal sense, Penny asked. More goes into a decision than simple logic, Penny. Each person has different values and experiences, and so, for the same problem, they may choose different solutions even if one seems to be the most logical or pragmatic, Deku said. I see, Penny said. So, next time ask before trying to set everything up. And maybe consult with us, Deku said. Noted. Hey, Izuku, Penny said. Deku said. You like them smaller or bigger? Penny asked. It's more about the shape, really, Deku said. You want to have some fun with them? Penny asked. Well, Deku said. Penny then grabbed Deku's head and pulled it into her chest. Yes, Deku said. After having his face in her chest, the two went back to their dormitory and proceeded to have some fun that night. Saturday, day 111. Deku was woken up early but a wet and warm feeling. He could also hear loud sucking sounds. Penny, it's too early for this, Deku said, opening his eyes. But he saw Penny sleeping peacefully next to him. He lifted up the sheet to see that it was Evelyn, who was doing it. Evelyn. What? Deku said. Evelyn spoke but Deku couldn't understand what he said. Evelyn, Deku said. Evelyn said. Take it out, Deku said. Evelyn rolled her eyes and then took it out of her mouth, but then started to use her boobs. Way to ruin my fun, Evelyn said. Evelyn, what are you doing? Deku asked. What? I'm giving you a wake-up call, Evelyn said. I can see that, but... Deku said. Evelyn's face and chest was then covered in white fluids. But what? You seem to be enjoying this, Evelyn teased. That's not it. Why are you doing this so early in the morning? You're never up this early on the weekends, Deku said. Well. Today is a special day, Evelyn said, moving to now sit on Deku's crotch. And why is that? Deku asked. You'll see, Evelyn said, moving so as to take Deku. Evelyn, for the love of the gods. Can't you wait until I'm out of the bloody room? Jack said. Well, you should have left earlier then, Evelyn said. It's 5:30 in the morning, Jack said. Well then. If you want to stay and watch, then be my guest, Evelyn said. Jack sighed, and then left the room. After spending the early morning with Evelyn's wake-up call, and a quick shower, Deku, Evelyn and Penny then all headed into Vale. So, mind telling me what the three of us are doing in Vale? Deku asked. That's a surprise, Izuku. Won't want to ruin it, Penny said. If it's a surprise, then why isn't David here? Deku asked. Because it's a surprise just for you, silly, Evelyn said. Okay, Deku said. Evelyn and Penny then got closer to Deku, placing his arms in their chest. What? What are you two doing? Deku asked. What? Can't we be touchy-feely with our boyfriend? Evelyn asked. But in public. What will people think? Deku asked. You worry too much. I'm sure our relationship is public knowledge now, Penny said. In Beacon maybe. But not out in Vale, Deku said. Who cares? If I want to be close to my boyfriend, then I shall, Evelyn said. And so will I, Penny said. And we're here, Evelyn said. The three of them were now standing outside of a shop called Huntress's Secret. And from what Deku could see on the inside, this was a lingerie store. I'll wait out here for you two, alright, Deku said. No can do, Izuku. How are we supposed to know what lingerie you like? Penny said. Come on, Izuku, time's a wasting, Evelyn said. Evelyn and Penny then dragged Deku inside. Deku decided to look up at the ceiling while the girl looked at lingerie. The two found some lingerie they like and headed over to the changing rooms. Thankfully they didn't drag him inside their changing rooms. All of a sudden Deku was grabbed and dragged into a changing room. He was slammed into a wall and then was pinned to it by Penny's butt. Penny. What the? Deku said. Deku then took in what Penny was wearing. She was wearing a micro set of green lingerie and green stockings. What do you think, Izuku? Penny asked. Deku said. Shush. Your body tells me all I need to know, Penny said. Penny then showed Deku and nice time in her new lingerie. After that Deku left Penny's changing room only to be dragged into Evelyn's. Evelyn then jumped on Deku, forcing him to help her and making him slam into the wall. Like Penny's lingerie, I see. Surprising, wasn't it? Evelyn asked. Yes, Deku said. I was surprised too. Though I guess she wanted something more revealing than her plug suit, Evelyn said. Evelyn then got off Deku and walked back. So, what do you think? Evelyn asked. Evelyn was wearing a pair of black see-through lingerie. She was also wearing black stockings and a mini skirt. Deku just gulped. Bun got your tongue. Don't worry, you don't need to say anything, Evelyn said, now pinning Deku to the wall with the splits. After Evelyn was done, the girls bought their lingerie and the three left the shop. So, was that the surprise? Deku asked. That was only 10% of the surprise, Penny said. Your surprise is all day, Evelyn said. The day then proceeded to be going to different clothes stores and having sex in the changing rooms in sexy outfits. At lunchtime, the three went to a cafe to eat. So, my surprise was seeing you in sexy outfits then have sex you two, Deku asked. Sort of. Originally all of that wasn't a part of the plan, Evelyn said. It was something we thought of adding, to increase the experience, Penny said. Should I ask what the original surprise was, Deku said. Why tell you when we can show you, Evelyn and Penny said. Evelyn and Penny then put a foot on Deku's crotch and began to rub. This is the true surprise, Penny said. The three then left the cafe and Deku was taken to a love hotel. As they entered their assigned room, the girls pushed Deku onto the bed before they head into the bathroom. The two then came out wearing maid outfits. Evelyn was wearing her outfit from the party at Junior's, while Penny was wearing a white and green maid outfit. Hello, Master. Would you like to take a bath, Evelyn said. Or a massage, Penny asked. Or would you like us, Penny and Evelyn said. Hold on, what's with all of this? Why are you two doing this, Deku said. I'll let Penny explain, Evelyn said. Remember what we talked about in Peak? About it doesn't matter who's first, Penny asked. Yeah, Deku said. Well, I know you said not to, but I still feel guilty about it. And well, my mind began to wander and then I thought, why not allow you to have the first threesome in our relationship, Penny said. And then I came up with the idea of, well, the rest, Evelyn said. You didn't have to do this, Deku said. We know, but Penny said. But we want to, Evelyn said. Penny then gave Deku a black object. What's this, Deku asked. Why don't you find out, Evelyn asked. Deku then pressed a button. Penny and Evelyn then moaned as they received a shock. A shock collar, Deku yelled. Please, punish us, Master, Penny said. We've been naughty girls, Evelyn said. Penny and Evelyn then pushed Deku down onto the bed. The three then spent the rest of the day in the Love Hotel, doing as many new things as possible and ruining the new outfits they had just bought. Meanwhile at the lab ship, Seal was currently at a computer. Why aren't any vitals coming through? The suit is 100% operational, Seal said. What has gotten you so worked up? Seal Enrico asked, entering the lab. Shouldn't you be asleep? Dr. Seal asked. The same goes for you, Enrico said. Doctor. As you should know, I do not require sleep, Seal said. But your dust batteries will need to be changed sooner then. Unless your father has managed to break the laws of thermodynamics, Enrico said. That process only takes a few minutes, hardly a reason for me to enter rest mode, Seal said. What if there's no one around to facilitate the process, or what if Penny decides to go rogue during those few minutes, Enrico said. There's a low % chance of either of those two things happening. And I have already made contingent plans just in case, Seal said. Enrico sighed. I ask again. What has gotten you so worked up? Seal Enrico asked. It has come to my attention that none of Penny's vitals have been recorded today. I thought it might have been broken, but I ran a diagnostic on the plug suit and the readings indicated that it was 100% operational. I don't understand, Seal said. Have you considered that she might not be wearing it? Enrico asked. Huh. But you told her to wear it all the time. She would never disobey you, even though her programming allows it, Seal said. I didn't tell her to do anything. I gave her a choice. And she agreed that it would be for the best that 24-hour monitoring was needed after such a drastic change to her body. I never told her to not take it off. Do you think she washes in it too? Enrico asked. No. But why would she not be wearing it? Seal said. Because I would prefer not to have a reading on my daughter's performance in bed, Enrico said. Seal said. Yesterday, after Penny's checkup, she had asked him if she could not wear her plug suit tomorrow, which caused him to laugh. Papa. I do not understand the reason for your hilarity, Penny said. Penny, you do not need to ask for such a thing, Enrico said. But I'm supposed to wear my plug suit all the time, Penny said. You not supposed to wear anything all the time. Penny, the plug suit is just to monitor your performance 24 hours a day, yes, but you only wear it because I was concerned about you. You do not need my permission to not wear it, just please inform me when you do so, Enrico said. Of course, thank you, Papa, Penny said. Also, you may want to turn off the plug suit, whilst in bed with your loved ones, Enrico said. Penny's face went completely red. Then that means she's been all day, Seal asked. All day, Enrico said. Enrico then left the room. No. Such action is necessary. Even if sexual intercourse is recorded. It's a small price to pay for the safety of the world, Seal said. Seal then decided to hack into Penny's optical receptors, know very little of how big of a mistake this action was. Seal wanted to look away, but she just couldn't. For some reason unknown to her, she then hacked into Penny's audio receptors as well. She watched and listened all night long. After they had finished, Seal decided to undo the damage she had done, and then she began to do some research. End of chapter 36.